Welcome to another episode of Wheel of Horror, the podcast where two best friends spin a wheel once a week. It chooses the horror movie and they discuss it. Today we're talking about the 1982 film Creepshow, which was directed by George A. Romero. I'm your co-host Alec.
I'm Eric, and with us again is our very spooky guest, Joe Testa. Joe, welcome back to the show.
Thanks a lot, guys. Always a pleasure.
I could have been worse. I could be like our biggest creep show fan, Joe Testa. No.
You haven't said spookiest in a while, Eric.
I try to bring it in once in a while for the spooky guest, for the real spooky guest.
I bring out the spooky.
Yeah, year round. Well, Joe, you are a huge fan of Creepshow, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually did a little research. I wanted to figure out when I actually saw this movie. And I remember, and you guys might remember this, it might be a little before your time, but Channel 11 around Halloween time used to do this promotion called Shocktober. And they used to play some like deep cuts too. I remember I saw like Wes Craven's Deadly Friend. I don't know if you saw that one. That's a real doozy. But yeah, they used to play horror movies around Halloween. This is going way back. And I actually found the Shocktober promo on YouTube. It's from 1991. So that made me 9 years old.
We're Googling that after this.
Yeah. I was 9 years old. And that reminded me, I was probably watching Tales from the Crypt on HBO and loving that. So this was like right up my alley. I actually had HBO growing up, so I saw them uncut. And I think I was even tracking down like reprints of EC Comics at the time.
I remember Tales from the Crypt so well on HBO, and I always thought these were connected for the longest time. But damn, so you saw us pretty young. I'm gonna be honest, I've never seen this movie.
Oh, wow.
Neither have I. And honestly, Joe, when I watched this, I was like, I bet Joe's going to tell us at the start of this podcast he was the kid with the voodoo doll in the comic book. It's like, that was me, guys. Like, that's why I'm a big fan. It's like, what?
Let me tell you, I love that kid's room. I mean, he's got like the vintage Godzilla figures and the Bela Lugosi Dracula poster. I mean,
oh yeah, that's right up my alley too. I'm surprised the dad didn't like, what is this crap, and like rip down the bats from the ceiling too. It's like, why not? Like, while we're at it.
Oh my god, dude! I wish I saw this movie when I was a kid, because I'm watching it now and I'm just like, damn, this. It's not made for kids, but if you were a kid and you saw this movie, it's so stylistic and just crazy that like you'd be drawn to it immediately.
I was thinking this is actually like a good gateway horror movie. If you have kids and you're sick of watching like Hocus Pocus for the 200th time on whatever channel they show that on endlessly, I think this is a pretty good one to show to kids. I might be way off on that.
I think you're very you're right on target with that, because it has a comic value, but it's also not terribly scary. But yeah, there are some scenes that would mess me up as a kid, with like the cockroaches coming out of the body. I'd be like, okay, now I'm messed up. And then,
well, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, the only ones I think I would show my kids would probably be the intro with the dad, the Stephen King one where he's the meteor guy. I don't know if I'd show my kids the other ones. They're pretty fucked up.
Honestly, the one that like kind of made me itchy was the Stephen King one. Like I was sitting there like, oh, that must be so itchy. And they showed his finger all bubbly. Like that triggered me a little bit in my What's that thing called about like where you can't look at holes, tryphenophobia or whatever? I have that, dude. I don't like looking at like a lot of little holes.
Oh yeah,
that's a legit thing, and I have that. I don't.
I remember when the iPhone came out, everybody's like, "Oh my god, I can't even look at it." But
vertigo.
Yeah, but so Joe, you did a drawing of the Creepshow. Was it 2 and 1? Like the covers for the posters? You've done drawings for that.
Yeah, I've done quite a few.
Okay.
I did the creep, that's what they call them. That's their version of the Crypt Keeper, the creep.
Right.
And yeah, I think I did a Creepshow 2 drawing.
The Creepshow 2, for some reason, that one always stood out to me. I'd see that VHS cover, and I loved that saying where it's like the most fun you'll ever have being scared. I love that. That was such like a cool idea. I don't know what the hell's wrong with me. Why I didn't see this movie. Like,
it's weird, Alec, for me too, because this was fantastic. How have I never seen this? And I think you found a huge fan of this, Joe. I'm gonna watch all the Shudder stuff, all the shows. A lot was on Amazon Prime. I saw there's shows too of this, right? Like seasons, recent ones too, in like 2019. I'm gonna watch them. I really am.
Creepshow 2 is another one that I grew up with, and it's not as good as this one, but I do have some love for it. And then you should probably stay away from what's called Creepshow 3. It's kind of in name only. I haven't seen it, but it's like a direct to video kind of just
Yeah.
cash grab that was made. I actually haven't seen the Shutter TV show of
Okay.
Oh.
Creepshow, so if you
I
guys
wonder. Yeah.
check it out, let me know.
I'll probably get the Creepshow 3 and be like, yeah, I'm done. Like.
Yeah, well, this I feel like kinda kicked off like a little anthology horror thing in the '80s, because I mean, I know Halloween was going for that, and obviously it came out the same year, I guess, Halloween 3, and then the Twilight Zone movie, that came out afterwards, and then, yeah, they had, like, Tales from the Crypt, they had Freddy's, they had all these TV shows too, like,
Yeah.
the Friday the 13th TV show, Freddy's Nightmares, all those things, so anthology
Mhm.
horror was big in the '80s.
Yeah. And the closest thing to a Creepshow 3 that the creators consider is actually the movie Tales from the Dark Side, which was also a TV show. But Tales from the Dark Side, the movie, had some involvement with Romero and Stephen King. So that's kind of the closest thing to a Creepshow 3 that we got. And I don't know if you guys have seen that, but that's actually pretty good. I would definitely recommend that.
Yeah, I gotta get more into anthology horror films. The last one that I can remember coming out was Trick or Treat, I think, which came
Hmm.
out that was kinda like a comic book too. That kinda was
Yeah.
sort of
Yeah, I
similar.
was thinking Trick or Treat, and then also not really anthology, but the urban legend movie with like Tara Reid and stuff. There was that like crappy horror movie. It wasn't that good, but I was thinking of other movies that had like a lot of stories in it.
I saw Tales from the Hood in theaters.
Oh no!
Oh,
And I remember liking it a lot. I haven't
Oof.
seen it in years.
I wanna see that. I've seen, like, YouTube videos where people explain it, and I'm like, "This looks
Mhm.
great." Like, it really looks actually pretty fun. I love the beginning. Obviously, Tom Atkins is just I love him in everything. He just has this presence that, obviously in The Fog and then Halloween 3, but I really like him in this too. But the drawing in the beginning, immediately I was like, "Oh, this looks just like Heavy Metal." And then I looked it up, and it's the same guy that did Heavy
There
Metal.
you go.
Oh,
There you
cool.
go.
Yeah, I didn't know that. I was like, "This is so." Have you seen Heavy Metal, Joe?
I haven't, but I know of it.
Yeah, yeah. I remember I saw that in high school. But yeah, I was like, "Oh shit, this art is so cool." I wanna go story by story, but what are your favorites, Joe?
My favorite segment is the crate.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's that monster, and I was thinking we usually have a little laugh when I mention some kind of, screening or, event that I went to,
Yes.
um, that relates to the movie we're talking about, and I was trying to think if I did anything, Creepshow related, and then I remembered I did. I actually saw Tom Savini, who did the special effects for this movie. I saw him speak at a art house movie theater in Manhattan, about 2 years ago now,
Okay.
and he talked about his career, and he had the head of Fluffy. That's the monster. That's what he calls him. He calls him Fluffy. He
Ah,
had the head on display, which was
Mm.
really cool to see in person. But why I love the segment, yeah, I love that monster. I love the music. I love the cast. It's the
mm,
only segment I feel like I could watch a whole movie of.
yeah. Yeah, I think it's the longest one, and it
Mhm.
kinda starts off in a completely different way than it ends, but it all kinda wraps together. I love Tom Savini's little cameo at the end too. That was so
Mhm.
fun at the, trash truck. Yeah, The Crate, probably my second favorite one. I really enjoyed that one. What about you, Eric? What was your favorite?
I'd say my order would be the crate, then the Stephen King grass one, then the beach one with the heads in the sand, then the Bedelia aunt one, and then the last one, the cockroach one. If I was to
Mm,
put it in order.
okay. Do you have a least favorite, Joe?
Well, the first time I saw this, I didn't watch the last segment, They're Creeping Up on You. And I'm not sure why. I might have had to go to bed. It's funny, like my mom let me watch whatever I wanted, but I had to be in bed by a certain time. There were some rules. So yeah, I didn't end up seeing that last segment until later, until I probably like rented it on VHS or something. And that's my least favorite just because I'm so freaked out by bugs.
I think
And
that was it for me too. Yeah.
yeah. And I will say, I watched a documentary on this movie. It's called Just Desserts. And there was a lot of good stories, but the stories about that segment are nightmare inducing. And maybe I'll share some as we go along.
I guess you guys, yeah, we'll just kinda go
Well,
through
let's go.
them.
Like anything else you want to say about the intro with the kid? Let's start there.
To
It
me, that just sets the stage so perfectly. It just tells me you are gonna love this. I mean,
Yeah.
it's at Halloween. There's a jack-o'-lantern in the window.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They have this great music. I love the music throughout. It's kind of like John Carpenter, but more kind of gothic sounding.
Mhm.
Again, the kids' room, amazing.
Yeah.
And it's funny though, after all the times that I've seen this movie, I could barely understand what the kid is saying.
Yeah.
The kid was cast because he was Stephen King's son. It's Joe Hill.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
You know,
Yeah.
I didn't look up a lot of stuff on this movie because I'm like, I want Joe to just make me learn and teach me. So thank you.
All
I'm
right,
excited. I'm
school is
very
in
excited.
session.
Yeah, I'm very excited. Keep it going. All right, keep it going. What else?
Yeah, I mean, Joe Hill is actually a really accomplished author, from what I understand. But yeah, I literally couldn't understand what he's saying until maybe some of my more recent viewings. And I guess what he's saying, he's calling his father out for being a hypocrite. His father's giving him shit.
He's got nudie
for-
magazines.
Exactly. Yeah.
And he's like, you snooped. He's like, he told me to go get the thing and the thing. And like,
Mhm.
and I saw him because you have like 50,000 of them in your room. No, like, no, but I mean, the kid reading that comic book reminded me a lot of, I mean, my parents were fine, but not abusive alcoholics at all. But like the fact that like you would read stuff and like don't read Captain Underpants. It's like, why? I'm in third grade. It's funny. It's like, don't read it. That's for little kids. It's like, I'm a little kid. You know, that's as long as I'm reading. So I think comic books are fine for kids to read. I think Joe, you showed us you have the Creepshow comic too.
Yeah, it's a graphic novel. It's based on the movie,
Mhm.
and it came out around when this movie came out, which was 1982. And
Yeah.
I think I told you guys, I have no idea how I got a first edition of that. I've had it forever.
That's cool.
I probably
Yeah.
picked it up at like a used bookstore when I was a kid or something, but I love it. It's illustrated by Bernie Wrightson, who is one of my favorite illustrators of all time. And I think it's in print. It was out of print for a long time, but I think you can get it now. It's really cool.
Is it the 5 stories in the movie?
Yeah.
It's the stories. Okay.
It is. It's an adaptation of the movie.
And is there any more in it, or is it just those 5?
No, yeah, it's just the movie.
That's cool. I like
Yeah.
that.
That is, I mean, that's a nice like little accompaniment. It's cool that it came out when the movie came out. I don't know. Yeah, I like that.
That's cool. And then last thing, another thing why this could be good for kids is the creep is technically the kid's buddy, which takes a little fear out of it. He's not after kids, he's helping the kid, you know. So, but yeah, let's go into the first one. What you got? What's that one called? The
Father's Day, right?
Father's Day. Yeah.
One more thing about that opening segment and the creep. The creep is actually a real corpse.
What?
Oh,
Yeah.
shit. Like the Pirates of the Caribbean ride has a skull in it, and like nice.
No, like Poltergeist, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess this must have been a thing in Hollywood that
Yeah.
like,
What the fuck?
that real corpses were cheaper to get than just building them from
Cadavers.
scratch.
Yeah, like cadavers, like way easier.
Apparently, Savini got this corpse from India
What?
and added a lot of things to it, obviously. But it's built on top of a real dead person. And apparently he built it to do all kinds of things. Unfortunately, it shifts to animation pretty quickly. But yeah, I thought that was a pretty interesting, twisted piece of...
keep it in a closet and then Creepshow 2, they bring them out again and then...
No.
Is it a prop or they buried it afterwards? I'm guessing, or burned it probably.
I don't know what
Cremated.
happened. I don't know what happened to the creep actually, but I'll give you a spoiler alert for Creepshow 2. Savini actually plays the creep, and it's a much different version.
Oh.
Okay.
Now I liked this, but I did not know that was real. Jesus, I feel like they must have like built like a Paramount lot or something and just been like, yo, this is on a graveyard, so we got a lot of corpses. What are we gonna do with them? It's like, put them in Poltergeist, put them in whatever movies we're making, because what like Poltergeist was 82 also, so it's like, what is up with all these corpses? And oh god,
that's right.
It's like we go to someone's like basement someday. It's like, I got the creep from the Creepshow 1. It's like, dude, that's an Indian dude. Like,
yeah. Yeah, that is fucking messed up. Yeah, well, interesting. So Father's Day, then, this one I think was my least favorite. I don't know. It was fine. It just kind of, it didn't really make that much sense. So like, starts off just telling the story about this family or whatever. I guess we're learning with the new son-in-law about what's going on, and Bedelia just gets drunk and drops the bottle, and that reanimates the corpse for some reason this time.
Yeah, it's 7 years, right? 7 years she's been doing this. Like, why not the first year, right?
Was it the liquor?
Jim Beam?
Spilled Jim Beam all over the grave, and that I thought that was what brought him back to
Wonder
life.
what that could be.
I don't
Do
know.
you
He
know
wants.
why the seventh year? Is that a thing in the comic or anything?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that actually. He might have been waiting to get his entire family in one place at one time because he seems to have it out for the entire bloodline.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
could be it. That could be it. Like
yeah.
everyone's finally in town together. They've all figured out the money situation with him. They're
Mhm.
all like now settled. And now it's like, now is my time to attack them after they're happy or not even, but
Yeah.
got what they wanted from me, those vultures.
Yeah.
It's interesting because in EC Comics, people die because they deserve it. Like the documentary I watched, it's called Just Desserts. You know, people die for their sins.
Mm.
And this is really interesting because Bedelia was a victim first. And then the father comes back to life and kills everybody. And it's just an interesting, I think Stephen King is having some fun playing with that EC Comics idea of
Bad guys
people
die.
yeah, people dying for their sins. And
Everyone's kind of bad in general too, except for the kid
yeah,
at the beginning.
yeah. Mhm.
No, I guess that makes sense where it just seems like it's a lot of people getting, like, punished or something like that. I wanna know what Ed Harris's character did, though. He feels like for me, I'm like, "Okay, that's like the audience, we're learning about him." But then he just, like, goes off to do the right thing. He's like, "I'll go get the aunt," or whatever, and he goes out there and then gets crushed by this grave. So I felt terrible for him. And then really quick, I just wanna say, Eric, I obviously, I've never seen this movie. How much did this remind you of that sketch we did, like, fucking
Yeah,
7 years
yeah. The
ago?
will reading sketch, of
Dude.
course.
Yeah, we did this sketch that was kinda like this where I played an old woman, I got in, like, prosthetic makeup, and I played an old woman doing, like, a will reading, but the way is the whole family was there, and they're like, "Alright," and I like, just shitting on this family, just like, "You're always, like, suckling from my teats," and all this stuff, and then the way that they get the money is a Boston Terrier gets placed in the middle of all of them, and whichever one it chooses, that one gets the money. So they're all like, that's her inheritance, so I don't know, I was watching this, obviously very different, but I was like, "Damn, this kinda reminds me of that sketch that we
It did,
did."
and I was gonna say the old man, like that's exactly what you're gonna be as an old man, Alec. Someday, like I want my Jersey Mike sub sandwich, and I want it Mike's way with the dressing on the side. Like I want my cake. Sorry.
You make me sound like such an asshole. I don't
I
know.
will say though, one reason I do love this segment is that this zombie is probably one of my favorite movie zombies, period.
Mm,
And he looks like he's torn from the pages of EC Comics, you know, like Savini had done a lot of zombies. Obviously, he's coming off of actually Dawn of the Dead was a couple years before this,
mm,
but those are mostly like just kind of pale, grayish, bluish, you know, people in pancake makeup.
yeah.
But this is a really elaborate looking zombie.
Yeah, and it's talking and everything like that, and yeah, we haven't even talked about George A. Romero yet. I mean,
Mhm.
yeah, so is this his 3rd movie since Night of the Living Dead?
He had quite a few non-horror movies between Night and Dawn.
Oh, The Crazies. I
Oh,
remember
he
that.
had the crazies. He had a really cool vampire movie called Martin, which I would definitely recommend. That's one of the movies I've kind of caught up with during quarantine, one of the many. And he did a movie called Night Riders with Ed Harris, which is why Ed Harris ended up in this movie.
Yeah, I'm seeing all this now. Okay, yeah, so this is like a kind of like it's just a different big turn for him, I guess, from Night of the Living Dead and Day of the Dead, which is so violent and everything like or Dawn of the Dead,
Yeah.
to go into this, which just seems like a fantasy, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of Grindhouse. Do you guys ever see that movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It reminds
Mhm,
me of that because it's like they're paying homage to a genre of something that they liked as kids, and this feels
mhm,
like, Stephen King and George A. Romero and Tom Savini just being like, "I love Tales from the Crypt and all that stuff, like,
Mhm.
let's make a movie." Like, it doesn't let's
mhm.
it's fun, it's just fun, like, that's the thing,
Yeah.
and
Well,
that's
comic books existed when they were kids too, so that's something I think.
yeah,
Yeah. It's kind of like Spielberg and Lucas doing Raiders of the Lost Ark. You
right.
know, it's something that they loved as
That's a good.
kids, and
Yeah.
you can see the passion in it. And it's funny, George Romero and Stephen King, they got together to talk about an adaptation of Salem's Lot,
Uh,
which never ended up happening. And then the earliest ideas for this movie was to make segments, but each segment would be a tribute to a different era in horror movies. So there'd be a black and white segment, and then like a 50s sci-fi segment, and just kind of go through the different eras of horror movies.
Like
And
the
then
Huh,
spectrum, the whole
yeah,
thing. Yeah.
that
and
would've
then
been cool.
someone said, yeah, it sounded like it would have been cool, but I think maybe Stephen King suggested, what about EC Comics? Let's do that.
Huh.
Yeah, because it doesn't feel like it is that definitive type of genre, each one is that drastically different. It all seems like it,
Mhm.
could kinda take place in the same realm.
One other thing I want to just add. I know we're only on the first one. We're already like almost 20 minutes in. It's an ensemble cast.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
straight up, like there's so many great actors in this film, and directors, and it's so cool to see that. I was thinking, I know Barstool Sports just did a like comment below on the greatest ensemble cast of all time, and
Mhm.
there was Departed, Ocean's 11, Grown Ups, not that Pulp Fiction, Wet Hot American Summer, and I kept scrolling. I saw a couple creep shows creep in on that thing, so I was like, okay, that's interesting. Like
Yeah.
deep within it, yeah. So that was neat.
We talked a little bit in our Night of the Living Dead episode about how George Romero, through a lot of his career, remained independent. And this was actually made independently. It was distributed by Warner Brothers, but they made it independently. And I think, had this been made by a studio, they probably wouldn't have wanted all these kind of seasoned character actors. This is coming out right in the middle of like the slasher boom. They probably would have been saying, "Where's the teenagers? This is a horror movie," you know?
Yeah.
So I give credit to Romero for
Sticking to his
casting this
guns,
movie.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, well, as we move along, I definitely have my favorite 2 characters coming up, but, yeah, no, fantastic cast. I love how everybody pretty much, I mean, people our age, I don't think, like, a 20-year-old wouldn't notice anybody in this, but, like,
Right.
everybody for us, I recognize literally everybody. But the second one is, oh my god, what is it? Oh, it's the Stephen
Stephen
King
King.
one. Yeah,
Yeah.
this one's goofy. This is probably just, like, the most lighthearted fun until the end. Jesus, until the fucking end. But
I gotta say, it triggered me a little bit because I get poison ivy every summer. I had it bad a couple weeks ago, and that grass, like I can imagine that being very itchy on Stephen King's face. Like I don't know what they use there, but it really, I touched my face. I was like, oh, it makes me itchy. It made me itchy. It really did.
all I could think the entire time I was watching this was, like, Bill Hader. Oh my god, it looks
Yeah,
like
he kind of
Bill.
looks like Bill Hader. Yeah.
Dude, all I was thinking of was just like, Bill Hader. This is just like a Bill Hader character. It was killing me the whole time. Yeah, it's a fun one, though. I like this one.
I like that he's watching wrestling at one point, and it's I caught who it was Bob Backlund. He was the wrestler, and I don't know who the like Samoan looking guy was, but that was Bob Backlund. So that was pretty cool.
Apparently, King gets a lot of crap about his performance in this
Oh,
segment,
it's a
but
joke. It's more of a
yeah,
joke. Yeah.
I think it's a lot of fun. I actually sympathized with Savini. He talked about how he came up with a lot of different gags and special effects for this segment, and none of them worked.
Hmm.
And he's working with Stephen King. He really wanted to impress him, but for whatever reason, it just wasn't working out in this segment, which is too bad. Like, it would have been cool if they came up with some really good like body horror, like something like The Thing or The
Like
Fly. Some
the swamp thing almost,
Yeah,
like
yeah. Like
yeah.
I think they could have really gone for it, but
Just felt like more like
unfortunately,
Nickelodeon slime
yeah,
face. Yeah.
it's lighter and more fun, and that's fine too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
and,
liked the line, meteor shit.
yeah. It's so goofy. No, but oh my god, I was actually laughing out loud when his character's so dumb, and he's, like, imagining what it's like to go to the university to sell it, and he's just like, "I won't take less than $200." Like,
Yeah.
I actually really liked it. I thought it was pretty funny.
That was definitely the silliest one for sure.
Yeah, no, the pop-off vodka, I was like,
Oh, and he just
"Oh."
like he like stirs it with the bottle. It's like, oh god, like dude.
And that was when he was in the height of his alcohol and, like, cocaine, so I'm just like
Yeah. Oh
I was just
jeez.
gonna say that this is very dark days for Stephen King. This was around the time that he wrote Cujo, which he doesn't even remember writing.
Jesus.
That's
Yeah, he
bonkers.
looks like a psychopath in this.
He's a lunkhead. He's a lunkhead.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? Oh, I just like at the ending too, like the grass or moss or whatever. The alien is covering the land, and you hear on the radio like it's gonna be heavy rains forecasted in the future. It's like, oh shit, that thing's gonna spread like wildfire, but the
Mm.
opposite of a wildfire. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah. And it was also just, like, interesting to see somebody who's, like, so down on their luck and just kinda feels like the whole world's out to get him, and he's like, "Oh, you spell luck B-A-D," like, sort of thing. He was just but, like, that person exists, you know, like, that is kinda like a
In
small
the
town
meteor, he's like, "I gotta
American.
pay off my loan." That's what he said too. Like he's like
Yeah,
already in debt. Like he's like, "Ah, shit." That
yeah,
was
I don't
funny.
know. I kinda found it endearing, I really did, and especially Stephen King doing it for some reason. I didn't find it, like, egotistical or, like, cringeworthy or anything like that. I liked it. I don't know.
Yeah.
And
But,
this is actually the role that Tom Atkins wanted. Um,
oh,
and Romero was like, "Sorry,
Yeah, we can't
yeah."
actually have Stephen King hit his child. Like,
That's not what I was thinking. I was just like, I couldn't even see Tom Atkins. I don't think he's goofy enough to do something like this. That's
yeah,
funny though. The third one. This one is my favorite.
it was up there. Yeah,
Dude, I love this. Felt like a good Twilight Zone sketch like or segment. I loved it. Dude, Leslie Nielsen is so intimidating. I didn't know he could be so
he
intimidating.
was. I will say this though, it didn't feel like horror until
Yeah,
after they were dead, which is like the whole thing almost. It felt like a forensic files up until after. You know what I mean? Like it was like a murder more than
right,
a horror, or
right.
so a crime movie. I mean,
I had seen the Naked Gun movies before I saw this, so to me,
mhm.
Leslie Nielsen was always a clown, and then I saw this, and he really is a great villain.
Dude, I've never seen him do anything aside from comedy, like,
Mhm,
obviously, Airplane and The Naked Gun and Scary Movie
mhm,
3. I mean, he's just Mr. Magoo, he's in all this stupid shit, but
mhm,
he
Mr.
was really
Magoo.
believably intimidating. I was watching him the whole time, I was like, his face doesn't move when he talks at all. It's literally
Mm.
his eyes don't move, his forehead doesn't move, he's just, like, delivering lines like, "Let's cut the shit, you know who I am." Like, it's just so, like I loved this segment. Like, at first, I was like, "Yeah, he's a joke," sort of thing, like, he's not actually gonna kill this guy, and he fucking does. I'm just
Yeah.
I don't know. I really like this segment.
and I don't think we mentioned who the guy is that he kills.
Ted Danson,
Ted Danson. That's
about to
right.
go to Cheers, dude.
Yeah,
Mhm,
got a great head of hair, Ted Danson.
Oh
You
my
know, like
god, dude. Yeah, Ted Danson. So, I just wanna make sure I understood this segment correctly. So, basically, Ted Danson is having an affair with, Leslie Neeson's wife, right?
right.
mhm.
And then he's just like, "Alright, I'm gonna come fucking kill these guys."
I think he warned them once, and he said, "Stop seeing each other," and then they did again or something like that. Then he went nuts. He's like, "I told you not to do this," and then yeah,
But he's got, like, a whole, like, Faces of Death wall where of, like, videotapes of just, like, other people he's fucking killed. Like, this guy's crazy.
I thought originally when I saw the bucket, I thought the tide was going to come in and knock over the bucket, and then we'd see her dead head, and that he
Oh,
buried them next to each other.
right.
That's what
Okay.
I thought was going to happen. That's what my mind was thinking, like going into it. He buried her like somewhere else down the beach or somewhere else where they couldn't hear each other. I don't know.
I thought he was gonna use the bucket and be able to dig himself out. I thought it
He
was
he
gonna, like
looked at it like that's
I
my last
know.
hope. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like
Yeah.
I could flex my way out of that sand. I could get out of that sand.
Yeah,
Flex my way out.
dude.
I don't know if you guys have ever seen Stephen King's Cat's Eye, but that's another anthology movie.
No.
And there's a segment in that that's very similar to this. I won't spoil it, but it's all about this rich guy who catches his wife cheating and forces the
Wait.
guy she's cheating with to do something pretty terrifying. And it just makes me think that I bet Stephen King has given a lot of thought to how he would torture his wife's boyfriend if she ever had one.
Dude, it's
Point.
like the best revenge ever. Like, he's just sitting there and gets to watch them. It's just like, "Oh god, yeah, you're
And he's
right."
like pour himself a drink, like ha ha ha. Like, it's like, oh my god, what a sicko!
Yeah. When he gets in the sand, it's just like, "Oh, you got a crab next to you." Like, it's
You
just
made a
like
friend. You made a friend.
yeah, dude,
It's like,
Stephen King's a sick fuck.
yeah, no, he has
Yeah.
issues, but we love you, Stephen King. Stephen King rules.
Oh,
Stephen
yeah.
King rules.
I love him. Yeah. This one though was definitely my favorite. Yeah, it wasn't that I mean, it was scary because it was real, until the end, but yeah, that ending is pretty intense.
I like the old Greg like style, like zombies, all seaweed and stuff. You know,
Yeah.
I like that, and I like the gurgly voice. Like it was overly
Mhm.
gurgly, like kind of like a Kanye song. That made me laugh.
It's those moments that really make this whole movie for me when it shifts from reality into like a comic book world with the paneling and the lights.
Hmm.
That's what a lot of these other anthology movies, even Creepshow 2 doesn't really have that. And I love that so much about this movie. It's kind of also like Italian horror movies. I don't know if you've ever seen like Suspiria, but the way they use lighting is just really surreal.
Well, the blue and the
And
red, it was so
mhm,
intense, yeah, when there's, like, a
mhm.
murder happening.
Yeah, I know Romero was good friends with like Dario Argento, so he probably took a lot of inspiration from those guys.
Yeah, man. This one was really, really cool. I love this one. And then the 4th one, The Crate. This one
Mm,
is definitely the longest, and this one I feel like has the most kinda going on.
yeah.
So you got the woman from The Fog, she was the radio DJ, Billy?
Adrian Barbeau.
Yes, I'm tell yeah, I
Mhm.
should have known her name. Um, yeah, so you've got a lot of, like, familiar faces. There's also the priest from The Fog.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I
Yeah.
didn't catch that either. Okay.
Dude, yeah, I was looking at him, I'm like, "Yo, this guy looks good for his age," and I was like, "That's the guy from The Fog." We were talking about, "Look at this guy from The Fog. Like, look at that guy, he's, like, 65, he's got a full head of hair, he's in shape,
He's
bro."
doing good. He's
We're like,
doing
"Look at
good.
this fucking
Look at
guy."
him. Look at him. Yeah.
But yeah,
Uh,
he I liked him a lot.
this one had the best start to finish story, like with character development and everything. I like the line like, "What are friends for?" when they're playing chess, and he's like, "Well, what?" You know, and they're going back and forth with each other. The thought that he's envisioning killing his wife like 10 times, and he's like, "This is I hit the jackpot. There's a monster under the stairs. Like, here we go." Oh my god, it's messed up, but yeah.
Yeah. The thing that I think really stood out, obviously, is the, special effects with the fluffy thing. Now, Tom Savini, I heard this was his first animatronic.
Yeah,
And that
he had to call Rob Bottin, who did the special effects for The Thing, and he had to kind of walk him through how to do this because he had never done monsters before. He was the slasher movie gore guy. He did Friday the 13th, and
yeah.
he didn't know how to do
Mm.
these kind of advanced animatronics. But I think he knocks it out of the park with this creature. I love this creature.
Is it a Yeti or like a baby Yeti? Like, what is it supposed
His
to
his
be?
idea was it was inspired by like a Tasmanian devil.
Okay.
Mm.
And like, or was it Antarctica or
Yeah,
like
I
Shackleton
mean,
times or whatever?
I think that you just have to imagine how this thing has survived
In the
in this
cold,
crate
yeah.
for what is it, a couple hundred years?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and no one's found it under the stairs, and then it can
Mhm.
survive underwater. Yeah, this thing is I don't this thing can't die.
I like that it like doesn't want to leave its crate too, and that it
Mhm.
likes being under the stairs because it's been there, and that's like this is my place where I like to
Yeah,
to go cry and
there's
hang
almost
out.
something sympathetic about the monster,
There
and I think
was.
the real villain, well, I don't know. The real villain is either Adrienne Barbeau because she's such a bitchy wife,
She's the real
Yeah.
villain, but the yeah.
or Hal Holbrook because he feeds his wife to the monster. I don't know. I love all the characters. Again, this is
Legally, he's the villain.
yeah,
But
true.
she's terrible. She
Yeah,
is
if you go by
terrible.
movie rules, she's
Also,
the monster.
if you go by alcoholic rules, mixing milk with whiskey,
Oh,
yeah, she
oh,
deserves to die.
oh, yeah, she does that, like, after a night of drinking too. Like,
Yeah.
oh my god, like, that's what you're ending your that's your nightcap.
Yeah.
Ew. And then she
Well,
goes driving again.
I know. Well, she also shits all over her husband. I'm like, she's literally like, "You're a loser, like, you don't have any money." It's like, "That's a beautiful house. Like, what's wrong with you?" Like, this guy well, she sucked.
Yeah.
But, yeah, she's, I guess, the real villain, but he kills some random kid in the school, right? I mean, he ultimately
Mhm.
gets him killed. He kills his wife, and did he kill anybody else?
No, that wasn't his fault for killing the kid or anything. He just killed his wife.
He kill
The other guy opened the crate with the janitor. Janitor
Oh.
dies. Then the kid does. Then he goes to his house and he's like, "Oh, jackpot! You got a monster under the stairs. Let me throw my wife in there." And that's what he does. But he does it while cleaning up his friend's mess. And then he tells him, "I also handled the monster, threw it in the quarry, and we're good, dude. I fixed my wife. You fixed your monster problem. No one's gonna miss these kids. We're good, dude." And that's kind of how it ended.
Only in '82 could you do this.
Yeah. That's like horrible.
There's, like, no cameras, no phones, no nothing. You could definitely get away with it.
And like you drugged his best friend and could have killed him. He could have overdosed. You don't know how much he had to drink and stuff. Like, geez Louise. Just like maybe 4 pills will do it. Like,
Yeah.
like
Dude, that guy just died too. Like, he just died a
oh
couple
really?
months ago, yeah. I couldn't
Oh,
believe it. He was like 96.
Hal
dude,
Holbrook.
Yeah.
like we said, man, did it right. Something in his water. He must
Dude, I
have.
know. Like, he looked you're like, "Oh, this guy's definitely dead." It's like, "Nah, he just died." Yeah.
I'm impressed. I'm impressed.
Yeah, good for him. Good
Good
for him.
life, man. Good
Yeah.
good for him.
And then the final one is what's it called? Let Me Creep Up
Crawling
on
up
You?
on you, creeping up
Yeah.
on you. Yeah.
I think this one has a lot going on, like, deeper meaning than what we're just seeing. I'm curious to Joe, like, did you have any, like, subtext to this?
Um, Nothing super deep. I think Stephen King and George Romero throughout their career have some disdain for the super rich.
Yeah.
And this is a good example of that. He's very Scrooge,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know.
That's a good comparison.
Only he doesn't he doesn't really get redeemed like Scrooge does.
He doesn't have any visitors to come change his mind. Like the ghost can't even get in there.
Yeah,
It's all locked
in
up.
EC Comics, yeah, you don't get redeemed, you get dead.
Yeah, yeah. This one, I really thought this had a lot to do with just, like, comparing the bugs to humans because he's, like, looking out the window and just it was coming on, like, the 1% versus the 99% is kind of the way that I
Mhm.
was, like, seeing it.
I like that we don't really leave that room or area either. Like we see the city and we see outside of the room with the guy coming up and being like, "Oh yeah, I'll get the exterminators. You got it, boss. You're the best boss ever." Like all sarcastic.
Yeah.
And, like we never see like the other guy stuck in the elevator. Like it's just it stays in that room. It's very Twilight Zone.
Mhm.
Mm,
That one felt Twilight Zone to me.
yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like you're stuck in there with him, and
Yeah.
this segment is almost too much for me. Did I recommend this for children? What the hell's wrong with me?
Well, this is the one where your mom was like, or your dad was like, "Hey, Joe, come to bed." You're like, "Okay, I'm coming."
Yeah, and you know what? I must have just thought it ended with the crate because
Huh.
yeah, I'm glad I didn't know about this one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's so crazy because there's no special effects. These are real cockroaches.
Yeah.
Like, there's thousands of them. Like, could you imagine the guy's job that had to put all those cockroaches
The
in there?
poor PA intern kid.
Should I
Like,
tell you a little bit about that?
yes,
Yeah.
All right.
Joe.
So Romero was talking about how to get a Hollywood bug wrangler, um, a New York City cockroach is going to cost you about 50 cents each.
What?
And they needed, thousands and thousands and, 200,000 of them. Obviously, this is a low budget movie. And somehow they found some bug wranglers to go down to the Caribbean and just stuff these roaches in some plastic bags and send them to the Pittsburgh area where this was shot.
What the fuck?
But apparently, these roaches live in these caves where they survive on bat shit,
Okay.
and the stories they told were just nightmare inducing. Like, just they go in, they dig a hole, they put like a bucket in the hole, they turn out the light for a few seconds. When they turn the light back on, the bucket is full of these roaches.
Damn.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and they said they could be waist deep in them at some points.
What?
Whoa.
Yeah, they sent 18,000 of them back and then bred them in these like trailers.
And this is why New York has a cockroach problem here.
Well,
Like probably, dude. That has a
I
lot
mean,
to do with it, probably.
this was shot in Pittsburgh.
Oh, even better.
So they said, I mean, every time they shot a scene, they would scatter. There
Yeah.
would be no wrangling them. They a couple seconds and they'd be gone.
So if you're like
So
the house next to the set, you're like calling like, "Hey, why are there a ton of cockroaches coming into my house?" Probably. I bet.
I mean, they probably changed the entire Pennsylvania ecosystem. I mean, these
Oh,
beetles or these roaches are from the Caribbean, I think.
Yeah.
that sucks.
That's disgusting. Yeah.
I'm guessing they literally had to like kill them all at the end. Like straight up like, "Hey, this set is actually like a set that we can close the doors and fumigate and just
Yeah.
wipe them out." Like that's the only way I can see that working, or else they're just going to take over whatever studio or whatever set they're on.
They did bug bomb them when they were done.
Yeah.
But tens of thousands
They'll
probably
get out. Oh,
escaped.
they'll get out. Yeah.
Yeah.
God, that's so
That
fucked
sucks.
up. Wow. Well,
Yeah.
good to know.
It's like Men in Black. Like Men in Black is like, "No, we're doing CGI. Like this is not like."
Well, I mean, that's the only time where I can see like CGI. Like, obviously, it won't look as good, I guess, but like, they're gonna escape. Like, you're gonna have to kill these
That
things.
sucks.
Yeah.
And it seemed like such a nightmare to shoot. Like, they said they had to put, like, Vaseline on the walls to try and keep them from
Falling off.
climbing up the
Yeah,
walls, but even that didn't work sometimes.
yeah.
To me, it's just like, just do the 4 segments, don't do the 5th segment. I mean,
I'm sure.
I like the segment. I don't hate the segment or anything, but for what they had to go through, I mean, I give them a lot of credit. I could never
A
have done
lot
this.
of passion went into it, I'm sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Don't eat while you're watching it
You
for
know,
sure.
definitely illegally shipping cockroaches somehow. Definitely. Like,
Damn.
that didn't go USPS. That did not go in the mail. Maybe it did. Shit. 80s. Who knows?
Well, then the movie wraps up. We get to see, like, kind of like, I guess, like, breaking the fourth wall a little bit, where they kind of like find the comic, and then the comic is part of this next segment with the voodoo doll, and they get to stab the dad. I love that. That was a nice way to end it. Not nice, but like,
Yeah.
It's very heartwarming. The kid kills his dad.
yeah, he gets
And
what he wants.
And the creep gets his next comic book cover. Boom.
But yeah, no, fun movie. Obviously, I'm so happy I got to see it and to learn so much from you, Joe. Jesus, I had no idea there was a real skeleton. So that's
Yeah,
that's
a
good to
lot.
know.
Stephen King's son. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Everything. Yeah.
I didn't realize you guys hadn't seen it. That's really awesome.
I'm kind of embarrassed, but this is fantastic, and it's one of those, like, how have I not seen this? And also,
Mhm.
you found a fan. Like, I'm gonna watch more of these for sure.
I have a question for you guys. I know you've been talking a lot of King lately. I just listened to your The Shining episode. Really good episode, by the way. Where do you think this ranks in Stephen King movies? I was thinking this might be top 3 for me. You know, The Shining is definitely number 1, and Carrie is probably 2.
Yeah.
But, you know, this is right up there for me. I know there's a lot of good ones. You know, there's like Shawshank and Misery, but
Children of the Corn is
uh,
up there too. You gotta say that. Pet Cemetery, but there's
a
so
lot of
many.
good ones.
I'm a big fan of Thinner, which isn't a really known Stephen King
Oh, I
film.
saw that in an empty theater, my friend.
Yeah, that one stuck with me. That freaked me out as a kid. Bad, man. Still dealing with that one.
I need to know what that's like, Joe. Just by yourself watching Thinner.
In the
Oh man,
theater.
I could tell you guys. I used to drag my poor grandfather to all these movies because they were all rated R and I couldn't get into them. So I used to drag my poor grandfather to all these terrible movies, movies that would never even get a theatrical release and barely had any business getting it back then. But maybe that's another episode.
If you were to do like Stephen King, like, on a spectrum, I would say, this is me personally, like, if you were to do like the different kind of movies he's done and stuff, I would say Carrie over Shining. That's just me. I would say Creepshow, and I would say Stand By Me.
Oh yeah.
Like, if I was to be like the 3 best movies you have to watch with Stephen King, probably that, just to see like what the guy can do.
Yeah. I like this, but the thing for me is, like, I want to see these ideas fleshed out a little bit more. I think that would make me, just as a Stephen King fan, like, I think this, if I didn't know Stephen King wrote this or didn't know George Romero did this, I'd just be like, this is fun. I love this movie. This is really cool. Now knowing that they're Stephen King things, I'm like, shit, I kind of want to see what happens. I want to see, like, how we got to that affair, or like what happened. How did the crate get there? Like, there's things I want to know now. So I don't know. For me, I think this would be like in the top 10, but definitely not my like top 5.
Well, having Stephen King in it, which he is in a lot of his films too, but having him in it like for such a long time is kind of like cool.
Yeah, I love that. I absolutely love that. But that's the thing. Each segment, I'm like, fuck, I want to see a full movie.
Yeah.
But as a standalone film, yeah, it's definitely. I'm so happy I got to see it, Joe. And you're the reason we put on the wheel. I was like, I anything that you want to do, I'm like, let's get Joe in here because he fucking knows so much about this stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome, guys. Well, I'm glad I could share it with you. Sometimes I wish I could go back and see these movies for the first time. So you're lucky.
Yeah. What's the movie I told you? Oh, yeah, I've never seen Training Day, and Alex like, dude, you're gonna have the best day of your life. Like, you were freaking out when he found out. Yeah. Everyone has that one movie they haven't never seen, and Training Day is probably my, like, if I tell people I haven't seen Training Day, they're like, what?
Yeah, that's what it was like with Fight Club throughout like most of the 2000s. You're like, you haven't seen Fight Club, and they'll like slap you.
Isn't it crazy that blah blah blah? And, like, they spoil it. It's like, oh, dude.
Yeah. Well, Joe, thank you so much again. Always a pleasure to have you.
Always a pleasure to be here, guys. Anytime.
Why don't we spin that wheel, Alec?
Do it.
Pull it up. All right, spinning. Ooh, exciting. The Invisible Man, the new one that came out less than 2 years ago. I think
Oh, nice.
2020, actually.
Yes, and we have Mike Valenti, who's going to be joining us. He's our Killer Clowns from Outer Space expert.
Oh my god. Excellent. Yes.
All right. Well, thank you again, Joe, and everybody for listening, and we'll see you next week with The Invisible Man.